Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and boy do we have an interesting video to go through today. Sit back and relax as we're going to be reading the 16-page spread in Famitsu, our largest gaming publication here in Japan that just came out today. This is coming off the Paris Games Week, so there's a 16 spread of information. Granted, of course, because they had tons of Western media at the event doing lots of hands-on. A lot of this news may not be news for some of you, but there are some really amazing screenshots, some neat tidbits that are unique to this issue. So just sit back and enjoy, and let's read this together. Okay, over here we have... This thing looks like Freddy Krueger, doesn't it? This is the ferocious Fang Wyvern Odogaron. This is a really cool monster. This is probably the most popular one, I think, of the ones that was revealed in the 4 trailers showing off the Rotten Veil. Here we see it attacking the poor Radoban, which we'll be covering in the next page here. Basically over here, all it says is just its bio. It says that it roams around the Rotten Valley looking for dead flesh to eat. It is absolutely ferocious and will not stop attacking no matter what the monster is, thus its nickname. And down here we can actually see one of its tendencies, which they mention here, which is to drag its prey back to its nest. So here the hunter has come across this Odogaron who's found a dead Legiana and is dragging it back to its lair. Speaking about Legiana, look at this, we finally get a render and a nice shot with its face, because this monster moves really fast, very nimble. That's kind of the big point of the monster, but it also means that we've never really gotten a very nice look at its face, and I gotta say, it's pretty. And man, this team knows how to pose a monster, don't they? That's so great. It does have this nickname, the sort of like drifting wind wyvern. Its whole thing, which you can see up here, is that it uses those big wonderful wings to flap this cold air at its prey, and if you get hit by it, it will slow you down and make you more susceptible. And this is how it goes around the coral highlands and snatches and eats those small wyverns that it likes so much. It does say here that it does sit at the top of the food chain in the coral highlands. Each map, so you guys know, has like one monster which is kind of like the king, where like Rathalos is the king of the ancient forest. Well, Legiana, or Legiana in Japanese, is the king of the coral highlands. So very cool. Definitely love this screenshot, and this one we even get some nice hunter thigh. Woohoo! But yeah, some two very cool monsters, like just like next to each other. Like these are just makes my day. Okay, moving on to page 2, we have what looks like a very familiar face over here. This of course looks very similar to the Uragan, or if you know him by his Japanese name, Uragankin, but this is actually a monster called the Radobarukin, or the Radoban in English. Now it does mention all the way down here that for those who actually are familiar with it, its rolling actions, its name, everything about it really screams Uragan, so it may be a very similar species of monster. However, look at all those bones sticking out of it. That's really interesting, isn't it? Well, it does say up here, and we did get some peek of this at the trailer itself, that it does roll around the Rotten Valley, and not only does it eat bones as food, but it also puts them all around its body as protective armor. Now, of course, when you're fighting it, you can knock off the bones to expose what I assume is weaker flesh, so you can do more damage, but the thing does roll around and smack its chin on the ground, very similar to an Uragan. Now, the cool thing with the Rotten Valley, of course, is that as you get deeper into it, the visibility gets lower. So I think that's hilarious, because this monster is going to come out, rolling out of nowhere and smack you if you don't see it. So I think it's a really good combination between map and monster. Here we get some nice little screenshots of it popping out and saying hello, and this huge thing, like this jaw for its chin. You got all these back bones here. You get this huge Diablo's bone coming out here. It's crazy. Then over here we had this thing. It looks like a, like a walking snake, doesn't it? So this is a new mid-tier monster. This is the Gyros and the Great Gyros. These things like to snack on monsters that fall down from the coral highlands into the Rotten Vale, so they do walk around in packs. And the worst thing about this pack animal is that not only does the Great Gyros sport paralysis, sort of like serum in its fangs, but the little ones do as well. So as they gang up on you, you're going to find yourself getting paralyzed left and right. It is nicknamed sort of the Paralysis Bandit Wyvern, if that's a name. So yeah, so these things run around in a pack and they will paralyze you. So a good old paralysis monster. I'm very happy to see that they're not recycling any monsters and they're making new ones here. I do love how it looks like a snake. I think we're going to see some really cool armor and hopefully a very cool sword and shield from it. And then these are the Rafinos, and the Rafinos are just those wyverns that fly around the coral highlands, and of course are the favorite snack of Tsitsiyaku, who does use its like flashbang type head to knock them out of the ground and eat them. So as you notice, they're saying here is, okay, you see that it's off on a hunt and it's hunting these little bird thingies. Do you attack it or do you just move on? Like that's kind of the idea, is that it's a living environment and you choose how you want to play. Okay, moving on to the next page, we've got the awesome spread on the Miasmic Valley, or in English, they're calling it the Rotten Vale. This is an awesome map underneath the Coral Highlands that is made out of flesh and bone, like literally. It's made out of monster remains. And this gives it a very almost graveyard-like feel. And it has this poisonous miasmic gas. And what this does is it almost is like bacteria, like gas from all the rotten flesh and bones. And this plays a huge role in how it affects the monsters and yourself. So over here they're just showing that there are areas in which the visibility is incredibly limited because of the denseness, the fog, or just light having a hard time getting in. And there's even beautiful areas like these almost like sulfuric ponds and stuff like that. So obviously a lot of variation. It's not just like, okay, everything's rotten, which is really cool. They say it's like a monster graveyard. Very much so. If you remember, look at this one. This is the gyros and this is the Rafinos from the last page. You notice a difference? This is them here. Look at, they look so cute and they're so happy, and these guys look little docile little pack animals. Here they are mean looking suckers. So what happens is this miasmic gas gets into the monsters and actually transforms them. It makes them more violent. I think maybe it limits their sight, I'm not sure. It just says that they get very violent and they will attack anything that's in front of it. So even these little suckers, the Rafinos, who are generally really docile, will turn super aggro on you. They do show that the hunter is also affected by this. I know you guys are letting me know on Twitter that during Paris Games Week, you got to see what this actual status ailment is. I'm not 100% sure what it is, so I'm not even going to talk about it here and be wrong. So let me know down in the comments below if you were able to confirm what that is. But they do talk about here there is probably a way to cure it, but it is a status ailment that the hunter gets. I will speculate a little bit here in that in the trailer we see the hunter can shoot off a sort of like fire nut, and the fire seems like it may dispel some of the miasmic gas around you, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And down here, completely unrelated to this awesome map, is just some really welcome news that with egg delivery is now going to be funner and easier than ever before, because the hunter can roll, it can sprint, it can slide down paths with an egg, you can do all sorts of stuff without dropping the egg. So this is going to make those quests really fun. Okay, moving on to the next page, this is obviously focusing on the online hub, which takes place on a ship, which is part of the village Astera. And this is, I don't know what they're going to call it in English, but they actually call the pub the Starboat, the star or ship, whatever, the Starboat. Just sounds like a really bad B-rated movie, doesn't it? Welcome to Starboat. This is a place where up to 16 people now can join a hub to play together. That is crazy, 16 people. So imagine the Twitch rooms, like that's going to be really fun. And of course they're bringing back arm wrestling. Now arm wrestling's always been kind of mysterious, like what you had to do to win it, whether it was random or what. But they do mention down here that, jamming and pressing any of the buttons as fast as you can to win. So that makes me think that maybe they finally, added in an actual rule. If that's the case though, then get the heck out of my hub if you're using a turbo controller, you dirty cheaters. Bring out your Master Higgins and show me if you are maging or not. Anyway, this place looks great. I really like it. So they're going to go and walk through all the different features, but they do list about here that the online place, and of course you can use most of these facilities offline as well because it's all the same town. What this boat includes is, of course, the arena counter, the quest counter, a place to manage your guilds, or in Japanese they're calling it your circle. It's an interesting term. There's the notice board, which tells you about your daily bonuses and also news topics. There's a place to eat. There's your house. And then there's other NPCs that can help you out with stuff. So over here in the upper right, this is the actual quest counter girl for the pub. And here you can, as I covered in my last video, there are different types of quests you could do. There are the actual mission quest, which is the story. Or you can do the free quest, which you'll unlock more free quests, obviously, the more you do investigations or do quests or missions from NPCs. And those are ones you can do over and over again. There are event quests now this time, and the event quests are online only. It does say that, and they are going to be sort of like for limited time periods and stuff like that. Could be cool, but as for me, because I work full-time and I'm a father, if there's one thing I can complain about, that's it. But you know what, that's not the game's fault, that's just how it is, right? And then there are also special quests called research ones, which you can only do a certain amount of times. So those are really interesting ones you want to invite your friends on, and everybody can get some special rewards. And down here they just talk about how you can filter and search to join the hub that's just for you. They do have just like a find me a hub, just anyone in general, or you can of course filter it by different things. So you can filter it by 4 different ways. You can do it by player, so this is player type. So this is like if you're casual, hardcore, play at night, play in the morning, you know, stuff like that. Players are asked to define, you know, their personality of how they play. Then you can sort of filter it by that. Then you do have by quest, so this is probably going to be something like low rank, high rank, arena quests, story quest, investigation quests, you know, just the general, like here's the types of quests we're generally going to be doing over in our hall, so come on over if you like. Here we actually can also filter by hunter rank, so this does confirm that hunter ranker is going to be back. This only ensures that you're not inside of an online room with people who can't join your quest because they're not that far in the game yet, so that's pretty good. Has nothing to do with actual skill, it's just time and progression. And then we have language. So if, of course, they have the auto chat and it displays in the correct language that you have your game set to, but if you really want to talk to people and you don't want to deal with, you know, people who don't speak English, or Japanese people want to talk Japanese to everybody, you can filter and say I only want a hub set to this language, or you can just go worldwide, which is going to be a whole lot of fun. And I think that's what I'm going to do for the first time, just to try it out. If it gets pretty crazy, I might go over to Japanese, but we'll see. Then of course you can do a private hub as well, where you can invite your friends, or you can put in a password that people can join. One nice thing to do now note down here is that this is part of Astera. So in the past games, when you left the online hub, you had to leave the room. Well, that's no longer the case. You can go to your room, you can do all sorts of stuff without actually having to leave the online hub, which is really nice because that's a quality of life change that they've been needing for a very long time. But with 16 people, what that also helps is that if someone is going off and they're going to like make armor, they're doing other stuff, it guarantees that you're still going to have people in the room to go join you on a hunt instead of waiting for that one person to get done shopping and come back. So all in all, awesome changes. Okay, the next 2 pages here focus specifically on multiplayer, so I'm just going to go right through these as fast as we can. So here, of course, they're just reiterating for new players that you can play quests from 1 person up to 4 different people. One nice thing that they did hint here is that when you're inside an online hub, you can obviously talk to anybody in the hub, but even if they're out doing the free hunt mode, which is like that search mode where you just go into a map and you can just hunt whatever you want, collect stuff, and there's no time limit or fail conditions, you can still talk to them even if you're in a hub. So people can now be out chilling and hunting and saying, hey guys, I got this quest, come on back and let's do it. You can now talk to people while they're actually doing stuff, which is pretty neat. You can obviously set passwords for your quests and other stuff to make sure that only the right people get in your room. And here they talk a little bit about joining a quest midway. So obviously this game does allow jump in multiplayer. So if you start off a quest single player, let's say it's a story mode, or well, there's not story mode, but you know what I mean, like you're playing single player, things are getting really tough, you need some help, or let's say someone drops out and you want a 4th person, you can leave it open. Someone can search for open rooms and apply to join it. The leader does have to accept it in order to let that person in. And it does warn you that if enough time has passed, you will not get the quest clear. So if this is like a key quest for you that you have to complete to progress, it won't count. And you also won't get quest rewards. However, you will be able to still carve the monster and get those materials. You'll be able to collect anything that you did during the quest, and you even get all the materials for like broken body parts and capture rewards. So this is really good. I think it could often offer a good way to help carry somebody. If you're in the middle of a quest and you're like, hey, I really need this part. Okay, well, come join me. We already broke both its horns or something. Like that could be an interesting way to carry somebody. I don't know. But it is definitely something to keep in mind. They did mention, and I said this in the last video, that the marker is the 10-minute marker. So it is pretty, I think, rich. And very loose in that it allows you to join a quest up to 10 minutes after it started and still get the rewards, but after 10 minutes you won't, so you have to be careful about that. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys generally play single player or with friends. I'm really interested to find out. I definitely like to play single as I go through the sort of like the main quest for the story, and I only then jump online when I want to sort of grind and get farther in the online portion of the game. But now with everything being the same, there's no single player and multiplayer, it's going to be kind of interesting to find out what people are going to be doing. If people are going to generally play the main quest together, or they're going to do it online alone. Up here in the upper right, we do get confirmation. We saw this image about a week or so ago that they are bringing back the arena. The arena this time is also going to be only for 2 people, so they're not changing the rules for that, which I'm very happy about. I think 2 people is the perfect one, especially for time attack. There are 2 types of quests. There are the one type of quest, which is just your arena quest, in which you have to fight using, one of their preset weapons and item lists. And they even have some time exclusive online challenges. The challenges they do mention here is going to have a worldwide ranking. So this is definitely going to be like a festa. Like everybody can do like a time attack competition to see who is the best duo in the world in taking down a challenge. I'm really excited to see some Western hunters show everybody that not just Japanese hunters, but everybody in the world can be really good at this game. It's going to be fun. And down here they start talking about what they call circles, which in English is squads. So this is like a guild system. So instead of just having one guild that you can create or join and having up to 50 people as they mentioned, you can actually be in up to 8 of them, which is crazy. So they're definitely thinking ahead with people who want to have different groups. So let's say you have one which is like a story help group, one is like your nighttime group, one is like your morning group. You can join all sorts of different circles and get help. Now, if you guys have been playing mobile games, they do this quite a bit where you can sort of create your own emblem for your squad. And you can even put in a leader message. So once you create it, you can say like, okay, we always play every Friday 8 to 10 PST and stuff like that. Like you can have a message there so you can make sure that, people who want to join your squad know what you guys are all about. But yeah, I love the system. I love the idea that you can be in several of them at once, and it also makes it very easy if you want to search for an online room just to find one with people you're already in a squad with. Okay, this next page is really exciting because when you start out the game, you actually start with a 2nd grade house. So as of course that means as you progress in the game, you will be able to unlock higher grade and different types of houses. Now of course that is more than just aesthetics. Like I thought, okay, maybe that's just like how big it is, or whatever, or maybe, hey, maybe your dream is to live with this guy, this ace cadet looking dude, I don't know. But there is a new incentive that we can see down here, which is from your room you can go over to the training area, which of course is great. You can also now capture small monsters during a quest and bring them back and release them into your house as a pet. That is amazing. I really want to know what all the small monsters can be used as pets. This also makes me think, maybe that's why they added in the idea of more houses that you unlock. Because it does mention here that as you change your room, the different types and variety of small monsters you can actually place in that room changes. So maybe there's like a Coral Highland like one and you can put jellyfish in your room. Maybe, who knows, right? Maybe that's how they're going to do Poogies this time. Maybe you have to find a Poogie and capture it and release it in your room. I don't know. But it's a really wonderful idea, and I can't wait to see it implemented. I don't even know what that is. Do you guys know? And I won't even go through this because we already went through this before, which is the awesome training area. Aurix Gaming and other people have major coverage of why this area is so well implemented. But if you want to learn how to do a weapon, this is definitely going to be where you're going to go to do it. Over here on the right, this is where they're talking about the farm. So up until now, of course, in Monster Hunter, you sort of like farm like honey or other very useful items. So that's no different in this game as well. And of course, there's special items to help speed up the farm and get more items at once. And then down here, we have actually confirmation that they're bringing back the melding pot, or the alchemy pot. But the interesting thing is here is that they've changed it. So it's no longer for charms. What this thing is for making bow gun ammo and consumable items. However, as you level it up, you will be able to use it to craft decorations. And decorations for your armor, interesting enough, they do mention down here that you get them as crest clear rewards and other ways. So it makes me think that you can't buy them like you normally used to. They are now incentivized. So if you go on a quest, you can earn decorations, or if you want, you can level up your pot here and make them yourself. So it's going to be interesting. I do like the idea that this pot now is going to be the place to do it instead of just going to a shop and buying them. It makes it feel a little bit more, like they're melding it together, so it has special abilities. I don't know. I like it. And down here they're just mentioning again that because Astora is constructed in a certain way, you can go through all the different facilities in town very easily through the elevator, and nothing is hard to reach, so they definitely designed it so that it's rich but not tedious for running around looking for where you want to go. Okay, and that's pretty much it, because these next 2 pages here are just the online interview that they published last week. I of course went through all the online interviews that I could find, and I covered a lot of that in my last video. So just some very nice play reports by the editors at Famitsu and how much they love the game. And for the last 2 pages we have an interview. Now in this interview they didn't go over too much, it's just a lot of the same messaging, just letting people know that they've made it a lot more accessible, but this is still very much Monster Hunter. It's not easier, it's just, you know, like in terms of difficulty, it's just easier to pick up and play. They talk about how they wanted to focus on making it so organic and living. They did say here that they've been fully into development for about 3.5 years, but that they actually started it right after 4G or 4U. Obviously at the beginning of all game development they spent a lot of time with the game engine and stuff like that, but once they started up and running they've been doing pretty good. So the idea they talk about down here is the reason why they added the ability to deconstruct a weapon is that everybody would, let's say you're just going down, you're always playing Greatsword, and then you get to a point in the game where you're like, I want to try out Switch Axe. Well, you've already spent all your materials on Greatsword, so you don't want to go and switch to another weapon. So now they've added the ability where you can deconstruct your weapon back 1 phase and then use those materials to make, you know, a different weapon. So it also talks about down here, like, you know, if there's one weapon that's the strongest that you can make for this point in the game, but it's not a weapon that you feel you're going to want to keep leveling up later on in the game, it's fine. You just make it, use the best weapon you can make for that point in the game, and then just deconstruct it and make another weapon later as you progress. So it's a really nice system. They did mention over here at the very end not to worry about the game volume. They said the game is packed. Development members have been playing the game forever and they're still having a good time, and there's still lots of stuff to go through, and they're just really confident. So I'm confident in them, they're confident in them. January 26th can't come fast enough, right? And then finally down here they do mention that there is some new stuff and mechanics that they haven't talked about yet, and that they'll be revealing those at a later time. So yeah, so that's it. So just a really great recap, some small details that were really interesting. I was really surprised to see that the melting pot is back and what it's used for. Let me know down in comments what you liked, whether really some screenshots that stood out for you, any interesting details, and if there's something from Paris Games Week that I haven't covered, because I'm sure there's a bunch, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below and share that information with everybody else as well. I always hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy hunting.